Hello, and welcome back to our On This Day series, where we journey through time to explore the significant events that shaped our world on a single date. Today, we're diving into the rich and diverse history of November 18th, from monumental constructions and revolutionary battles to cultural milestones and landmark legal decisions. This date has seen it all, so grab your temporal compass and let's get started. Our first stop takes us all the way back to the 4th century on November 18th, 326. Consecration of Old St. Peter's Basilica on November 18th, 326. A truly momentous event occurred in Rome. Pope Sylvester I consecrated the original St. Peter's Basilica. This grand church wasn't just any building. It was commissioned by Emperor Constantine the Great, the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity. It was constructed directly over what was believed to be the tomb of St. Peter, one of Jesus' 12 apostles and the first bishop of Rome. For over a millennium, this basilica stood as a central point of pilgrimage and worship for Christians across the world. Its consecration marked a pivotal moment, symbolizing the rise of Christianity within the Roman Empire and laying the foundation for what would eventually become the Vatican. Though this original structure is long gone, its legacy endures, paving the way for the iconic basilica we know today. On November 18, 1477, Caxton prints Dicks and Sayings of the Philosophers. Jumping forward over 1,000 years, we arrive in 1477 in England. On this day, William Caxton, a pioneering figure in the history of printing, published a book titled Dicks and Sayings of the Philosophers. What makes this so special? It was the very first dated book to be printed in England. Caxton had learned the art of printing in mainland Europe and brought this revolutionary technology back home. This publication, a collection of wise sayings from classical and medieval philosophers, wasn't just about the content, it was about the medium. The ability to mass-produce books changed everything. It democratized knowledge, spurred on literacy, and fueled the intellectual currents of the Renaissance and the Reformation. This single act on November 18th was a crucial step in transforming England into a literary and intellectual powerhouse. On November 18, 1626, new St. Peter's Basilica consecrated. Let's fast forward to November 18th, 1626. We find ourselves back in Rome at the very same site as our first story. On this day, Pope Urban VIII consecrated the new St. Peter's Basilica. After the original basilica fell into disrepair, a monumental project began to replace it. This wasn't a quick renovation. It took over 120 years and involved the greatest artistic and architectural minds of the Renaissance and Baroque periods, including Bramante, Michelangelo, Moderno, and Bernini. The result is the breathtaking structure that stands today in Vatican City, one of the most recognized and revered buildings in the world. Its consecration was the culmination of more than a century of ambition, faith, and artistic genius, creating a symbol of the Catholic Church's power and endurance that continues to inspire awe in millions of visitors each year. On November 18, 1803, Battle of Vertières. Now, let's cross the Atlantic to the Caribbean. On November 18, 1803, the Battle of Vertières took place. This was the final, decisive battle of the Haitian Revolution. For years, enslaved and free people of color in the French colony of Saint-Domingue had been fighting a brutal war for their freedom against their French colonial masters. Led by Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the Haitian rebel army faced off against a formidable French force. Despite being outgunned, the Haitians fought with incredible courage and determination. Their victory at Vertières was absolute. It forced the French to withdraw, and just a few weeks later, on January 1, 1804, Haiti declared its independence. This made it the first independent nation in Latin America and the Caribbean, the first post-colonial black-led country in the world, and the only nation whose independence was gained as part of a successful slave rebellion. On November 18, 1883, North American railroads adopt standard time zones. 80 years later, on November 18, 1883, time itself was standardized across North America. Before this day, time was a local affair. Each town set its clocks by the sun, leading to hundreds of different local times across the United States and Canada. This was a logistical nightmare, especially for the booming railroad industry, which needed precise, coordinated schedules to operate safely and efficiently. So, on this day, the major railroad companies unilaterally adopted a new system for standard continental time. Zones Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. At noon, telegraph signals were sent out, and cities and towns across the continent reset their clocks. It was a revolutionary change that brought order to chaos and forever altered how people perceived and measured time, setting the standard that, with some adjustments, we still use today. On November 18, 1903, the Bunau-Varilla Treaty signed. Our next event, on November 18, 1903, concerns a monumental piece of engineering, the Panama Canal. On this day, the Bunau-Varilla Treaty was signed between the United States and the newly independent Republic of Panama. Just weeks earlier, Panama had declared its independence from Colombia with tacit support from the U.S. This treaty granted the United States control over a 10-mile-wide strip of land, the Canal Zone in perpetuity, in exchange for a one-time payment and an annual fee. This gave the U.S. the authority it needed to complete the construction of the Panama Canal, a project that would dramatically cut shipping times between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. While the treaty was instrumental in the canal's creation, it also became a source of long-standing tension between the two countries, a tension that would only be resolved decades later. On November 18, 1905, Håkon VII, elected King of Norway. Just on November 18, 1905, a new European monarchy was born. Following the peaceful dissolution of its union with Sweden, Norway needed to choose a new head of state. Rather than becoming a republic, the Norwegian parliament, the Storting, decided to offer the crown to Prince Karl of Denmark. To ensure he had the support of the people, Prince Karl insisted on a referendum. The Norwegian people overwhelmingly voted in favor of a monarchy, so on this day, he was formally elected king, taking the Old Norse name Håkon VII to connect with the country's medieval kings. His reign would prove to be pivotal, especially during World War II, when his refusal to submit to the German invasion made him a powerful symbol of Norwegian resistance and national unity. On November 18, 1928, premiere of Steamboat Willie. Let's turn to the world of entertainment. On November 18, 1928, a cultural icon was born. At the Colony Theater in New York City, Walt Disney's animated short Steamboat Willie premiered. While it wasn't the first Mickey Mouse cartoon produced, it was the first to be distributed. And more importantly, it was one of the first cartoons to feature a fully synchronized soundtrack of music, sound effects, and dialogue. The effect was magical. Audiences were captivated by the charming mouse at the helm of the steamboat. His every action perfectly timed to the Johnny score. The short was an instant sensation, launching Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney to international stardom and revolutionizing the animation industry. It heralded the beginning of the golden age of animation and established a character that remains beloved worldwide. Sadly, our next event is a tragic one. On November 18, 1987, King's Cross underground fire. On the evening of November 18, 1987, a fire broke out at the King's Cross St. Pancras underground station in London, one of the busiest hubs on the tube network. The fire began beneath a wooden escalator and, due to a previously unknown phenomenon called the trench effect, it suddenly flashed over, erupting into a massive, deadly fireball that engulfed the ticket hall. The blaze resulted in the tragic loss of 31 lives and injured many more. The subsequent public inquiry led to a complete overhaul of safety regulations on the London Underground. Wooden escalators were replaced, smoking was banned entirely across the network, and new fire safety measures were implemented. It was a terrible disaster that ultimately led to sweeping changes, making public transport safer for millions. Now to a landmark moment in civil rights history. On November 18, 2003, Goodridge's decision on same-sex marriage. On November 18, 2003, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court issued its ruling in the case of Goodridge v. Department of Public Health. The court ruled that it was unconstitutional under the state constitution to deny marriage licenses to same-sex couples. In its decision, the court declared that barring individuals from the protections, benefits, and obligations of civil marriage solely based on their sexual orientation was discriminatory. The ruling was a watershed moment in the fight for marriage equality in the United States. It made Massachusetts the first state in the nation to legalize same-sex marriage, setting a legal precedent that would pave the way for similar court decisions and legislative changes across the country, culminating in the nationwide legalization of same-sex marriage by the U.S. Supreme Court. Over a decade later, our final event for today brings us almost to the present. On November 18, 2021, Malcolm X murder convictions overturned. On November 18, 2021, a significant step was taken to right a historical wrong. A New York judge formally exonerated two men, Muhammad Aziz and the late Khalil Islam, who had been convicted for the 1965 assassination of civil rights leader Malcolm X. For more than half a century, serious doubts had persisted about their guilt. After a nearly 2-year-long reinvestigation by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, it was concluded that the FBI and the New York Police Department had withheld key evidence that would likely have led to their acquittal. The exoneration, coming 56 years after the murder, was a somber acknowledgement of a grave miscarriage of justice and highlighted the systemic failures that led to 2 innocent men spending decades in prison, profoundly impacting their lives and the historical record of a pivotal moment in American history. And that's a wrap on the incredible history of November 18th. From the foundations of the Vatican to the birth of Mickey Mouse, and from a fight for freedom in Haiti to a fight for justice in the New York courtroom, it's a day that truly spans the breadth of human experience. What event stood out the most to you? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next episode. Until then, stay curious.